We are not on a defensive-like conquest where we're trying to ward off thousands of occupying soldiers, but we are still celebrating 300, which means it is time for Verbal Tap, the show that proves fighting way easier times 300 outside of the cage. I am your host, Kevin. With me, of course, who I believe would be either the Xerxes-like character or the person trying to make a deal somewhere. I don't know. You got a lot of pride. I just like, this is your fault, by the way, for planning the 300 in my head with your meme work. With me, of course, Rafa Esparza. Rafa, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing very well. Did you know that yesterday was SummerSlam?
I did know that. I saw someone post something that said this is SummerSlam. That's why I knew.
Yes, that was a very important way of telling. I didn't post anything about it.
Okay.
So, Kev, we saw a weekend where Ronda Rousey was the first female to win both the UFC title in her career, as well as the women's championship.
Oh.
So there's that.
There's a new champ in town is what we're saying?
Absolutely. Brock Lesnar loses, and then AJ Agazarm gave the weirdest post-match promo that I think we've ever seen.
To fight Brock Lesnar? In what? No.
I feel like Kasai was the undercard to NXT, which is the undercard to SummerSlam.
I hope that had more finishes. Just as a subtle
definitely more entertaining. And fight me on that. But I'll tell you this, Kev. I was having issue falling asleep yesterday, and I just put on Kasai, and I
was like, let's put that AJ Gilbert match on. That ought to knock me right out. Looks hot, exhausting. Nothing really happens. Not going to miss anything.
I'm going to let you guys in on a little bit of my process. I don't just come on here and get highlights. When I am on this microphone, put in my work, do the due diligence, and when I heard that the Craig Jones match with Rousimar Polaris was hot garbage, I said, man, I have to watch all this, don't I? And I sat there. Eric Medina's sitting next to me and says,
you heard it was hot garbage before?
Yes.
So did Eric and going into it then that it was
supposed to be? We both had heard, but Eric had just walked in from getting food, and I said, hey, sit down. And he goes, why? And I go, because did you see the Polaris Craig Jones match? And he goes, no, but I heard it was bad. And I go, exactly, sit down, because I need someone else to fucking live through this experience like I am. And Kev, it was worse. And Eric felt like I was holding him against his will, and I said, well, I have to watch all of it because I have to come on here and tell the people. And guess what? If you watch 1 minute of it, just watch that and know it doesn't get any better.
I don't remember. Yeah, can I rip the Band-Aid off? I mean, 300, and we're feeling as feisty as ever about grappling, because I would have thought we would have fixed this by now. It turns out MMA fighters, not the best in the transition to grappling. So, as a highlight and an overall, but Paul Harris, I remember fighting previously to this one. This one, he had what seemed to be no interest.
Well, Kev, you have to ask yourself, if you're carrying around 33 extra pounds.
Okay, I can put myself, that's not that hard for me to fathom.
Yeah, but maybe of the steroid nature.
Questionably,
we're not sure.
Yeah, not of muscle and athleticism. No, the 33 extra pounds, it was like, got that part. So I'm with you.
When Craig Jones says, yeah, I'm going to pull guard because that's what I do. And also, I'm Craig Jones. What else am I going to do? If I can't get a Z guard, do I even breathe? So he's doing as best he can to try and engage and butt scooting forward, and Rousimar Polaris is just kind of framing him away and keeping his legs back, which sounds way better when you explain it like this than what it really is. But in actuality, he's just disengaging and just pushing Craig Jones off and then kind of going backwards. So it's not like it's anything that we hoped it would be. But I will say, Kevin, I did predict that Craig Jones would win.
That's true. Several people did. Few predicted by, and hold on, to the haters who have said you can't win a fight just boot scooting around. Fucking dare you to watch this and say that out loud again. Because I watched old Kreger from the land down under butt scoot his way to certain victory.
He did, bless his soul.
Hey,
it was
vindicated, Raph. He's vindicated.
It's just weird in that we remember a Rousimar Polaris that fought Gary Tonin in a grappling match, and it's one of the best things to watch. It was exciting. Gary was a smaller guy who was running circles around Polaris, and it was something that we all were highly entertained. If you don't have somebody who knows anything about grappling, that's a perfect example of, look at this. This is fun, right? And people say, yeah, it was actually a fun match to watch. This was the opposite. So now we're sitting here, and it brought back memories of Brandon Schaub. And when you bring up memories of Brandon Schaub, that's when you know you're doing jiu-jitsu a disservice. But I digress, Kev. I just want to make sure that people understand.
Yeah,
it was, and I understood. I think it was actually Palmer who said it himself. But guys, we're not going to let that bad Kasai drag us down.
We couldn't, we wouldn't, and we won't.
We respect you too much for that. And yes, we might not even acknowledge the fact that Rousimar Polaris himself said, you know what, it's going to be a fun match. We're going to make history. That's how good this match is going to be. You definitely did make history, but for the wrong reasons. We're just not going to mention that. We're going to stay on a positive level, Kevin.
Is that what was written in his hair? This is going to be a good match. I'm going to make history. I didn't see it, but I was trying to make it out. Had
Honestly,
plenty of time.
It looked like he went to his barber and said, "Have you seen the movie Signs?"
I want to say.
He goes, "Could you just put that in my hair, please?"
Everybody's joking, but Mel Gibson saw it, knew exactly what it meant, and got in touch with him shortly after the match.
I also thought at a certain point, if somewhere in his hair he had carved essentially the OJ admission of "if I did it," like, I'm totally on the sauce.
If I'd held. Oh, I thought it was going to be if I'd held the submission.
No.
Which is an interesting past tense version.
That is a very interesting past tense version of it. And then I guess just one last thing on that. I looked at it. It was very strange. That hair, at one point I wondered if it had the Prince symbol in it. But again, Kevin, we're not going to let Rousimar Polaris drag us down.
You know, they talked about it. They did talk about it. His hair.
You're supposed to talk about it.
Well, I guess his friend
action happening. That's what you're supposed to do. But yeah, tell what his friend did.
His friend is a barber. It was like, can I cut your hair? I have an idea. And that was the idea, presumably. His barber didn't get on to confirm, though we had time to get in touch with him, too. Frankly, we could have spent minutes 5 through 15 calling him up, asking what the F happened. There was a lot of time on our hands. Speaking of time on our hands, real quick, Raph, I want to do a pre-show shout-out. Not pre. I mean, we've already started the show, but I think all of our fans know. Have we? I mean, have we? This goes out to the Beat family from Lee Anthony Beat. Apparently, across the pond listeners, Raph, though, when I saw Lee Anthony Beat and Birmingham, I was like, oh, gotcha. Yeah, this is a Southern family. No, it is not. Lee Anthony Beat, despite having a very historical sounding connotation in United States lore, he was not the person that was involved in the whole Lincoln assassination. Just a fan of the show, and so is his family, Raph. We have a family that listens. Made my week.
Oh. Well, that does make my week as well, Kev. I mean, I just want to make sure that the full family gathers around. It's like Prime Radio listening. Gather around, kids. We're going to find out how shitty Raph's half guard is this week.
He did not indicate if they plug it into like an old-timey radio and gather around. But I do like that. No one does that anymore. That's for sure.
They should. They 100% should. And we want to say thank you so much. And this is by extension representative of so many other people who listen to us and have listened to us for 300 episodes. We decided we were going to do something to make it worth your while. We've brought on guests before. Some of them good. Most of them pretty good.
Sorry about
this
Gary
guest.
Again. We've had a lot of
sorry about him.
It's just, we get it. We've heard the feedback. We've seen the reviews. We just like him. So, sorry. Message her.
Gary said something where he goes, "Hey, can I be on the 300th episode?" No.
Absolutely not. Are
No.
you kidding?
You think you're special. Gary didn't even go to Kasai this weekend, and I was originally giving him so much shit about it. And then I saw what Kasai was and said, no, you made the right choice to go to your friend's wedding.
You're a genius.
Even though Gary does not believe in the institution of marriage, mostly because no girl will ever give him the time of day. That's not either here nor there. We have an amazing person that's going to be coming on. We're going to talk Kasai with them. We're going to talk Quintet with them. We're going to talk about Sakuraba with this person. But of course, we're going to ask the questions that you guys want to hear about him and AJ Agazarm because Lord knows, Kevin, that just happened.
You could have convinced me it was SummerSlam briefly. There was so many people on the mat after. I was like, wow, I guess we're... Yeah, I forget Jiu-Jitsu has zero security, so it's just no one's going to stop anyone.
Especially when John Calstein just goes up there and I go, no one's stopping this? And they go, yeah, you get up there. And I go, oh my God, this is... My family gatherings have more security than this. I understand it's hard to block black belts from walking up, but I'm pretty sure most of us are so polite in the sport of jiu-jitsu. You just put an arm out and they go, all right, I'll sit back down. But nope, we got the weirdest things possible for a very strange event. And of course, this was the moment people were talking about because lots of shit talking ensued. So yes, we will be chatting with our good friend Geo Martinez in just a second, but we want to make sure that you guys are prepared because we get all the goods about all of the amazingness that was Quintet. And, Kev, no appearances without hearing a little bit about, maybe points and how sometimes they can suck when not done properly. Yeah. So I guess you can kind of just venture to say, in 300 episodes, we still haven't made jiu-jitsu popular. We're very sorry, everybody.
And we're working on it.
We're trying.
But for this episode, what I think everyone needs to do is strap on their secure underwear. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
NorthSouthJujitsu.com. The only underwear that could keep you protected from all of life's elements, which coincidentally you will find on a grappling mat. People trying to grab at the drawstring, and they know what they're doing. You can't grab those North-Souths. It's too much elastic. They're going to grab those Hanes for sure, tear them. You're going to be hanging crack halfway through class and just embarrassed. Not with your North-Souths. People are going to know. And then when they try and they see that label, they're going to be like, oh, I shouldn't even attempt this move because this person is serious. That's the power of great training gear. Head on over to NorthSouthJujitsu.com. I got excited. I ran over. They have out a new product, Ref. New arrivals. Navy. That's all I'm going to say. You know it's my favorite gi color. But that's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. I'll hint at this for you. It looks great with purple. Just throwing that out there. Navy looks great with purple.
I'm very excited for that. However, Kev, I think, is there anything more embarrassing than being on your shoulders, kind of almost inverted, your legs over your head, and when somebody's trying to pass, you having the wrong kind of underwear? Because you didn't do anything. You're not the one passing. You just chose poorly with the type of support. And when you do look stupid, there's not much you can do while in a panda position, rolling upside down and going, my crack's showing, isn't it? All right. Well, good thing I didn't listen to Raph and Kev. And we had somebody this week tell us, I'll be damned if you guys weren't right. These North-South are the truth. So don't take it from us. Take it from Verbal Tap listeners worldwide. Kevin, I want to tell you about Core Fit because I'm excited about the prospect of Core Fit. I know what Core is, and I know it's not going to taste very different, but I'm seriously just sitting here waiting to find out what Core Fit is going to taste like. Do you know why?
Their products all taste good. So I'm assuming, per you and I mean, fitness is something we could add more to our diets in general,
I'm
right?
honestly believing the more I drink, the more fit I'm going to be.
Amen. It's right there in the title. And this is a place where that stuff's all proven.
Yes. You can find out more by going to provennutrition.com. There's our sponsor dump. And you know what? Credit to our sponsors, because you don't just make 300 of these episodes doing nothing. You make it with the support of the people who actually pay, because the sport is poor. And so we appreciate our sponsors.
You literally make it because you were able to drink Core, and it kept you awake and gave you the endorphin firing your mind needs to either defend off a vicious choke and or ask Geo Martinez cool questions.
Yes.
That's in the business what we call a segue.
Yep.
Raph
right,
just
kids.
sent me a business terms memo about podcasting, and in it I saw segue, so thank you, Raph, for that little memo.
You're welcome. I try to keep this show as professional as possible at all times. But instead, Kevin, I think it is time for us. Shall we make the transition over to talking to Geo?
Right now. I'll save my David and Goliath comments for when we have time, Raph.
Ladies and gentlemen, 300 episodes of Verbal Tap means, well, it's big. It's a giant milestone for myself and Kevin, for many of you who listen as well. So we thought, well, Kev, how did we go about the process of figuring out who's going to guest on episode 300?
We were like, let's wish list this. And then it happened at a huge moment. Somebody, I'm not going to name names yet because that's the reveal, but somebody choked the biggest human being I've ever seen. Like an amazing moment of jujitsu stunness. We were like, that's 300. We gotta talk to this guy.
And not just that, but we decided to remedy something that has bugged us in Verbal Tap lore, which is a long time ago, our guest won a huge tournament, and I was the only one to interview him for the podcast here. Kevin actually was really sick, and it was a great interview. It's one of our best ones, except Kevin wasn't on it. So
I'm not going to read anything into that, by the way. I'm just going to.
So anyway, we decided we would bring on a fan, a friend, a great human being, an all-around busy person, and somebody who we thought would be truly somebody to commemorate this special occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Geo Martinez. Geo, how are you doing, sir?
Yo, I'm doing excellent. How's everyone going? I'm here, just ready to talk to you guys. Just got out of practice, had a busy weekend, but I'm feeling good, man. I'm living it.
That's awesome, dude. I have to start off right off the back with saying you did agree when you did this interview to renounce your master, and that was where we were going to start.
God. He will do no other podcasts. Wait, how does it work, Raph? On this side, I struggle to follow it.
I just thought that we made up rules as we go along.
Yeah, we just make things up.
That's what happens, right? We can make up our own rules.
Let's get this out.
That's the new thing.
Let's get this out of the way because, Geo, the weird perception here is that he is using pro wrestling tactics to be the heel, to be the guy who's antagonizing people, and yet AJ Agazarm may not even consider the fact that you yourself grew up watching pro wrestling. So you're not new to this. You know what this is, and yet even you're like, I'm good.
It's kind of, it's to the point that it's kind of, I enjoy it because people really get heated. People really, it really bothers them. AJ's actions and stuff like that really bother people. But to me, it's like he stole his gimmick. It's not even original. So to me, it's like maybe if he came with like something original, something different, I would be a little bit more impressed. But the fact that his gimmick's been done so many times and it's kind of becoming the big thing with Conor McGregor and a little bit of Chael Sonnen in there, and it just feels like forced. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like it's really his character. You know what I mean? But he wants to play that role. But I look at him as like a frat boy. You know, that's why I always look at him like he's like a frat boy trying hard to be this badass like martial artist dude on, you know, that will take any match against anybody, and you know, is super elite grappler and all that. That's cool and all, but his gimmick is just coming across douchey and fake. You know, it's not even, I can't even enjoy it. I really, in my opinion, I try not to give him too much credit for that gimmick because it's not original, you know, so I try not to acknowledge it too much. I just kind of laugh at it, if anything.
Where do you think, because he seems to try to couple it, it's like trying to ascribe the fact that you agreed to terms, and then when you're injured, saying you dropped out of the match because you didn't agree to the terms. I mean, under what absurdity would we have ever seen you renounce Eddie Bravo? Like, I don't understand what the purpose of that is to begin with. Like, just to be like a loser leaves town match, but the loser happens to have to renounce their whole history. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Right. And again, this is coming from a pro wrestling fan.
It's kind of like the Shawn Michaels. It's kind of like the Shawn Michaels gimmick. Like, you know, you lose WrestleMania and you quit forever. You know, you quit wrestling and stuff. Kind of reminds me of that a little bit. You know what I mean? But like, why would I even put my team on the line? Even if I was confident going up against a white belt or something, a guy that I know I could just destroy, I still wouldn't do that. It's just the honor of my team. I would never bet my team on the line. It's like putting your family on the line. Like, I'll bet my family on the line. If I win, you know, I get whatever. I get the championship. And if I lose, then you can have my family, and I never see my family again. It just doesn't work that way. Well, like, this is more than just a weekend thing for me. Like, 10 Planet Jiu-Jitsu is my life. Like, it's my family, my business, is everything I do. Why would I ever renounce that? I never even agreed to it. I never even said, I didn't even give him any kind of attention to that, because I just thought that was so ridiculous. It's just like, okay, you call the shots now, you make the rules. Like, why would you be able to call the shots? Why would you be able to, you know, tell me what happens if I win or lose? Why would I give you that power? Like, what are you, fucking Shane McMahon? You know what I mean? Like, like, you don't have that power. Like, you know, it's not like you're the owner of BJJ or something like that. It just doesn't make sense. You're just another grappler, another black belt that is a fucking sorry, I'm cussing too much. Another black belt is a shit talker. You know what I mean? He just talks a lot of crap. So that's cool. You could do all that, but you could not make the rules. You know, maybe if you throw your own events, and maybe you could do something there, but I will never, ever leave my crew. It just doesn't make sense to me.
See, but the thing that you're describing is with Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker, like, the two of them are in on it because Shawn Michaels says to him, hey, dude, I want to retire. So could you beat me so that I can just be done? Like, that's the whole aspect of it that goes on behind the scenes, which is why it's not like it's a shoot match and then Shawn Michaels goes, well, it's been a good run. Thanks, everybody.
Right.
Because that's how things go. Kev, what has been your perception of this? Because whereas Geo and I grew up with wrestling and are fans, Kev, you're not as big of a fan or one at all. So what is your perception as you're seeing all this?
Well, and I also am non-10th Planet. Raph, you famously started with 10th Planet and stick very close to them, friend and training-wise. Geo, one of their most prolific competitive black belts. So, one, when you say you have family in the game, I would be saying it metaphorically. You are actually not. Your brother is also a 10th Planner. Right. So there's a genuine, like, what are you asking if you want to, like, not be a Martinez next? We could see if AJ wants to denounce being blonde or a douchebag, but I don't think he's going to want to depart from that either.
I thought that your stipulation, and again, this is in fantasy world because it's ridiculous. Your stipulation should have been like, well, you have to find a team.
That can stand you.
What I told them. It doesn't make sense because you don't have a real team. It doesn't make sense because you don't have – I can't be like, all right, you put your team on the line and I'll put my team on the line, because he doesn't really have a real team. And it's kind of sad that he wants to attack me and my team and stuff like that, because it's like part of me, you know, part of it I feel like he's really – jealous of what Ten Planet is doing. What all the obviously we get a lot of love nowadays. With Joe Rogan and Eddie Bravo, and I feel back in the day like it was the opposite. I mean, nowadays things change. People like us. People want to hang out, train with us. They see that it's a different culture, even though it's all jiu-jitsu. It's a different kind of culture, and he wants to be part of it one way or another. And I think his way of trying to connect with us is trying to be against us, even though he secretly probably loves us. That's what I really believe. I think he really listens to Joe Rogan, Eddie Bravo podcast all day, and it's like, hopefully one day they'll say my name. Please, God, please say my name. And it just hasn't happened because no one cares about him. Simple as that.
Here's the fun part, is that we know it's for show. So the idea of these coming up with one-liners and him becoming this beat poet and taking photos of himself and doing all that. Like, I get it. I understand. And it's dressing to this thing. However, I would say this, though. As I see him doing this, and I just see myself laughing and going, is this where we are right now? I do want to move on, but the only thing I wanted to ask was, what the hell was the chaos of when it's happening at Kasai? And I want you to describe it to us, because then there's also John Calistine, who's walking up there. Nicky Ryan is somehow in the mix, and it made me think, is this like a triple threat match that we need to put together? Is this some sort of weird sort of contingency rules that we need to do? And I like the fact that you actually said, you're like, one of us is going to get it, and I honestly don't even care who it is. You just all look like you're waiting for at-bats on a piñata.
That's the thing, is like people are always going to want to compete against AJ because people hate him. You know what I mean? And that's kind of a good thing that he has going. It's like, he's going to keep getting matches because people are going to want to beat him, and people are going to want to see him get beat. And, AJ, as much as I don't really care for him much, he's been in the game for a while. He has some good, won some good matches, done some good stuff. And people, he's seen him go hard, and he's a real competitor. But I think people more rather watch him lose at this point. So back to the Kasai thing. Here's the interesting part that no one saw that happened in the backstage. Kind of like, I wish they had like a backstage camera kind of thing, but they didn't.
Me too.
Like pretty much.
First of all, second
we're all getting people are saying, go ahead.
I second that. I really wish they had a backstage camera. That was all. Yeah,
I think it would have been awesome. But pretty much like people, we're all hanging out. Everyone's doing their thing. In my head, I'm like, I'm not going to talk to AJ, say anything unless he's like, tries to say something to me. But I want him to focus on his, match. I don't want to be that dude that isn't like talking shit or mad dogging you before you compete, because I understand it's his competition time and whatever. I'll let him focus. I don't want to be that guy. You know what I mean? So I'm walking by. I think PJ and them are warming up. I'm walking to go to the bathroom, and I walk into this hallway, and it happens to be AJ and some of the guys he's with. I think some of the other Gracie Barra guys that were there, and he's like, what are you doing here? What the fuck are you doing here? Like out of nowhere, and I'm just like, oh my, is this really happening? Is this guy really gonna try to make a scene right now? Because I already anticipated it, and he pretty much tried to get in my face. So I got back in his face, and we both like really like were kind of pushing each other a little bit, and talking smack and all the security and refs and everybody gets in the way. Like, Gio, don't do it, keep it professional. And I'm like, I'm just walking by, dude. This guy's in my face, and like, I'm not gonna let someone just punk me. And it kind of got me heated. I'm not gonna lie, because I was not in the mood. I was not in that mode, I guess. I was just kind of just being a coach for PJ, making sure he's ready. Just kind of just vibing out with people, networking a little bit. But I wasn't really focused in AJ, and I didn't want him to be focused on me because he had another match. But he tried to punk me, tried to get in my face. He's like, what are you doing here? I thought your arm hurts. But, how was the seminar? And all this weird stuff. And I was like, and he's like, I feel bad for all your kids, and just like saying all these low blows. So it got to a point that I got in his face too. And I started talking smack to him too. And I'm not impressed by your gimmick, and pretty much just told him how I felt. And they broke it up, and that was it. I just walked away, and I was like a little bit in backstage. Like I talked to Eddie, and I was like, Eddie's like, dude, let it go. Just, we'll get to it later, and I had a feeling he was gonna try to call me out, obviously. So when he starts calling me out, I'm on stage already, and he can't see me, but I'm like standing up, waiting for him to call me out. He's like, "Where's he at? Where's he at?" He just couldn't see me probably because of the light. So, so I just walked through the crowd and I just, get on stage because I know that's probably what he wanted, and that's probably what Kasai wanted too. And I think it's a good way to promote a match. But right when I was walking up, Jonathan Kasai comes up because obviously he called him out before, and he wants the match too, and he's good enough and he deserves the match, if he wants it. And he tried to go up there, and AJ like kind of shoved him off and called him like Minnie Mouse or whatever, or Mighty Mouse or whatever he was saying. He's like, "Get out of here, Mighty Mouse," and like just kind of pushed him off. And I know Jonathan like wanted to talk more shit, but he kind of kept it more respectful at that point because like I didn't want to be that dude. He kind of stepped off a little bit, and then that's when AJ started talking and pretty much made the speech, and I made the speech. And the only reason Nicky Ryan's in it because I know Nicky Ryan wants a rematch, and I know Gilbert Burns mentioned him. So at the end I just said what I said, and I told him pick one. You got 3 options, and I think those will all be pretty good money matches for him and for the guys that are competing. I think we'll all be satisfied to see one of us smash him. So either way, he has a handful with either one of us. I know that for sure, but obviously I think I deserve the match. I think you'll want to see me go up against him. It's a 10 Planet thing. It started with him talking smack about the 10 Planet lineage, my 10 Planet lineage, my master Eddie Bravo, Joe Rogan, John Jock, and when I see people disrespect them, it kind of bothers me, because these guys, you should have some respect, for people that pioneer the game, people that help jiu-jitsu, grow, and just people like that. You gotta appreciate those people because they help you make money. They help you push the culture. And how can you hate on someone that helps you live your life? It's just kind of annoying.
I just laugh because, okay, I guess this is a multi-tiered reason why it's humorous to me. Number one, loses a match. Immediately goes.
No submissions ever, by the way, in this entire pasture. Sorry, go ahead, Rev.
So after that, calls out, has essentially 3 people basically just waiting their turns. And then the weirdest part is like when he does the diss at Palestine, when he says Mighty Mouse, I'm like, there are way worse insults. But sharing a nickname with a guy who happens to be one of the best athletes in MMA, I mean, I'll take that.
That's all I honestly thought the same thing. I was like, okay, yeah, that's kind of stupid. And if you notice, something that was something that really was like stand out for me was after Gilbert Burns won. Gilbert was doing a bunch of like push-ups and whatnot, and then out of nowhere, AJ looks at him and AJ starts doing burpees and quick steps, and I'm like, what a try-hard! Like Gilbert Burns literally just did that, and now you're look at him and desperately try to, I'll show him and do the same thing. It's like, wow, like you're that desperate to, to kind of make some kind of statement, and you try to grab a beer in the middle of the match and take a sip out of it. I don't know if you guys noticed that. He went out of bounds and grabbed the beer and took a sip out of it.
He did that because, and bless his heart, Kenny Florian trying to explain all of the actions and everything on the microphone. He was saying he was doing it because his mouth was busted open and he was using the alcohol for it. However, that dude who had the beer took another swig out of it, and I've never thrown up more in my mouth.
Oh.
I looked at it and I said, nah, I'm good. At that point, AJ, this is yours. Even if you don't want it, it belongs to you now. So I think what we're all kind of getting around is...
I didn't notice that, but that's so funny.
Oh.
That's a good detail.
I don't know that you want to see it, just because you might have my same reaction of, oh, no, I was better off without seeing that. And especially, the weird part I think we're all circling around is... I think AJ Agazarm got to this point where he's the Daniel Day-Lewis of heel, but not just any heels, but like acting like a bad guy from an 80s movie. And the fact that he's doing it behind the stage where you're going, the cameras aren't on, dude. Does this really matter? I mean, I get if it's for a show and it's there. But I mean, like, it's masterwork that we're talking about here. So anyway, that was kind of what we saw.
He's really committed, I'll tell you that much. He's definitely committed to it. He's going all in.
He is. And to his credit, I mean, Nicky Ryan doesn't have to say shit because Flow Grappling is going to make the argument for him that he should get the match.
Right.
Johnny Calistein's going to do his Rodney Dangerfield routine of I don't get no respect. You're going to do your thing. I mean, I think all of you would have great matches with him. And I think that's about as much as I want to say. I do want to change the subject over to this because I want to stay on Kasai, but I want to ask you about PJ's match. Specifically his second match, because it seemed like there was a little bit of controversy in what happened there. Now, obviously, I kind of understand where your perspective might be, but can you tell us your interpretation of, I guess, what happened and how he ended up losing that match?
Renato, obviously the guy who won the whole event is a beast, and I have a lot of respect for him.
Absolutely.
I love the way he competes, and he's honestly a really cool guy. I'm cool with him and his girl Raquel. They're all chill. I have a cool relationship with them, and I'm not. It's nothing to do with him. You know what I mean? And I want everybody to know that. I want to be clear on that. I have, nothing against him, and he does what he does, and he's really good at it. And he's one of the best out there. And obviously he had a great performance, and is not an easy guy to go up against. But PJ, in my opinion, is one of those guys that people still don't. Now they're starting to see that PJ is like the real deal. You know what I mean? He's one of those guys that he's gonna hit levels that not a lot of people could hit in jiu-jitsu just because of his Division I wrestling plus.
Oh yeah.
But his Division I wrestling and obviously being from 10th Planet is like the opposite of wrestling. So I think those two combinations together are gonna just kind of create a monster, and that's what PJ is, a monster right now. And I knew in my head PJ was gonna be a hard guy to beat, and especially when you do points because you guys wrestle a lot. And I'm not a wrestler, but I have a lot of wrestling teammates that love wrestling, and PJ's the best. He's one of the top dudes there for sure. And when they were wrestling, they were going at it for a while. They had some good attacks. The attack that Renato got points from was kind of weird because they went out of bounds as well. He set the shot up or whatever, went out of bounds. If you look at that, when they went out of the bounce, where they ended up at the end, they ended up with PJ with double underhooks behind him. You know what I mean? Not like even though Renato engaged the takedown, he didn't end up in any solid position, but he still gave him the point, the 1 point. And then when PJ pretty much did the same thing twice to him, they didn't give him anything. They didn't give him no points. It doesn't make sense, in my opinion. Like, I got to watch the footage over and over to really understand what they were thinking. And because it was the same thing. But Renato got the point, and PJ didn't. And that's annoying when you're competing at that level because that makes you do desperate things. That makes you go for crazy stuff because you see the time running out. This guy's walking backwards. And then PJ both of them get a stalling call. How, if you're stepping forward and you're pushing, trying to get the game going and trying to engage, you shouldn't get taken away a advantage for or whatever, a penalty point because that's stupid. Like you're attacking. Like PJ was trying to move forward, he was trying to go. Renato was playing the game. He was playing the line. Because it's hard to shoot on someone when they're out of bounds. You know what I mean? These are some huge ass mats right here. You got to think about. They're big mats. They're not little mats. So if you're playing the outside the whole time, you're not trying to engage. You're not trying to really play the game. You're trying to make sure no one can shoot on you. If they shoot on you, you step out of bounds and they reset you. You know what I mean? And he did an awesome job playing that game, but it was very. I don't even want to say it, but it was very Brazilian. You know what I mean? At that point, like not modern day Brazilians that feel like that, but like the old school mentality of Brazilians. They kind of like do little things to edge it out and win. That's what I felt that was. You know what I mean? And it disappointed me because I think that would have been a great win for PJ, and I would have liked to see at least 2 more minutes to see who could really win that battle. But instead, they gave that guy a 1 point advantage, and that beat PJ. And that was annoying because I knew that affected PJ's mentality the whole tournament after that. Even if PJ would have got a submission on Rua, which if you don't know, PJ already submitted Rua twice before in 2 previous submission-only tournaments. He submitted him in regulation time. So, if PJ would have even submitted Rua, he still wouldn't be able to advance to the final round. You know what I mean? He still wouldn't be able to compete for first and second. So in his head, he was disappointed. He was disappointed. He went in there all in, and he was burnt. He was mentally and physically burnt. And to me, I was upset. It was the I don't blame Kasai. I don't blame anybody, but I do blame that ref. Whoever that ref was, I don't even know his name. He's the guy. He's in charge of the IBJJ. He's like the IBJJ ref that does all the rules and stuff. I don't really dig that guy, and I don't really care for him too much. But he just favela till he dies kind of style, And that's what I saw from that.
Yeah, I mean, it was confusing. We ended up getting the end of it at the tournament we were hosting, and I looked at it with some of the guys, and I just said, yeah, that doesn't seem right. And again, this isn't to disrespect Canuto. I ended up training with Canuto by accident about 2 weeks beforehand, and he's like, hey, do you mind going no-gi? And I was like, I do no service to you. I'm not helping you get ready for Kasai. I don't know what you're going to do with me. And he literally, I was like, the amount of pressure that man had, it was so intense. It is fun to watch just when it's not happening to you. So that was something that I saw. But I mean, here's the nice part. PJ, you mentioned he's very young, and he's only just really starting to blow up in most people's brains. Whereas many of us, I think maybe the benefit of having the West Coast exposure is we're very familiar. I mean, a great wrestling pedigree, really, really exciting matches. And the fact that he is so young means we'll be seeing him for some time do his thing. I'm not worried on that respect. Kev, I have to let you come in because you've been chomping at the bit about Quintet. Now,
yes.
This is something that is near and dear to both Kevin and I because it combines the Survivor Series element but for jiu-jitsu. Kev, I'm going to let you go from here.
Okay. Quintet 2, which I am publicly on the record as the most exciting jiu-jitsu event of 2018. The team element was fantastic, and as soon as I saw 10th Planet was bringing their all-stars, I was like, fuck yes. You, specifically, sir, defeated a giant named Haisam Rita, who was on one hell of a tear, and momentum is as important in jiu-jitsu as it is in anything else. Here's what I need you to talk us through, because everyone saw it. Geo walked in, and here's why we wanted to talk to Geo for 300, and here's why we've said this every time we've seen you fight. Geo, you fight to finish. That is what you look to be doing. You're never afraid to put yourself in some weird positions, but this time you walked into a match against someone significantly larger and heavier, and when your hand was raised, it was just fantastic in terms of jiu-jitsu nerds everywhere. What did you see in the matches leading up that you thought, I am going to hit this guy with a guillotine and I will cut off his head before he has the chance to get out of it? Talk us through the match. To me, it's 2018's best jiu-jitsu moment. So if you don't mind just telling us where it came from.
Yeah, Quintet, I have to say, not only was, watching it afterwards on, Fight Pass was definitely one of the best tournaments I've ever seen, just watching it, but being a part of it was also super amazing. Like, they're, the way they take care of their fighters, their production, their fans, everything about it was on point. Like, Japanese, they know what they're doing when it comes down to tournaments and martial arts. They love it. They're passionate about it, and you can tell just by the way they throw their tournaments. And obviously, Sakuraba is, he's so cool and so chill and just like a great ambassador for these kind of tournaments and sports and stuff like that. So I was just honored and happy to be out there with my team. I've never done a tournament like this. It's very new. Not a lot of guys, done tournaments like this. Obviously, our first match, there's 4 strong teams. We knew the 2 strongest teams coming in there, in my opinion, were going to be Team Vagabond, which was, that super team where they had guys from all over the world, Ichi's team, and then I knew that obviously our team was the other team in the tournament. But then we had Saku, and I wasn't really sure. When I saw his team, I wasn't really sure all of them, but I did see a giant dude there, and I was like, this guy's huge, but I'm not sure if he's that good yet, you know what I mean? So they go out first, they compete first, and they're going up against the Tiger team, the guys from Thailand. I know Stuart Cooper is he knows the game. He's been around some of the best jiu-jitsu guys, trained with the best. He's a solid black belt, competed out there against some of the best guys. And I knew he was going to pick the right team to have a good team to go out there and represent them. And they had a good squad, but once they went up against, in my opinion, I didn't know his name at the time. I was like the giant guy. Once they went up against him, he pretty much crushed their team and took their team out. You know what I mean? And watching that and watching him warm up, Eddie went up to me. He's like, we gotta worry about that guy. We gotta think about him if we go up against him. That guy is gonna be someone we gotta think about. And I thought about him, and I definitely kept him in my mind, but I couldn't really think about him too much because I had a match and we had a team we got to beat, the Vagabond team. They had a solid squad. They had a lot of good people in that team. They had Joao Assist, which is 80cc champion. Heavy dude, big dude, smart dude, very adaptable dude that could play top or bottom. And to me, he was the most prestige guy in the whole tournament when it comes down to pedigree and just taking down big names. He was the man. He was the guy that even before we went, Eddie and Richie and all of us were already talking about him. Like, this is gonna be the hardest guy to beat. He's tough. So the way it ended up working out, he ended up PJ. We sent PJ out first because we know PJ could go out there and break the ice, and PJ's like always gonna perform no matter what. He's so consistent, and we knew that PJ was gonna be out there to set the pace. And he had a tough match against one of the tough dudes. We didn't really know too much about this guy at the point, but he was very resilient. PJ had him in crazy arm bars and Kimura grips, and the guy was not tapping. And I've been in PJ's Kimuras and arm bars, and I tap, because that shit will break if you don't tap. So
yeah,
the fact that guy survived that, I was like, this guy's tough. And PJ went all in and couldn't finish him, even though PJ, in my opinion, dominated that match. Looked super good, in that match. He just couldn't finish him, and it kind of threw me off because I expected PJ to win that match and then go up against Joao and possibly tie with Joao because I knew PJ would be hard to submit. But ended up getting eliminated and ended up being Richie that we picked for our second representative. And Richie went out there and, put on a rubber guard clinic on Joao.
Yeah.
Couldn't finish him, which I was surprised because Richie should have, had some deep arm locks and Carney from rubber guard. And Eddie Bravo couldn't be happier to really have someone showcase what the rubber guard system is about, especially in Japan and, international like that, because I don't think no one has seen high-level rubber guard out there like this before. And Richie really, just showed that it can work at the highest, with the highest competitors. It doesn't get any better than Joao, and for him to just get shut down and get put in danger so much that to the point that he had no clue what was going on, what was hitting him over and over, even though he survived. He's a beast for surviving that, because I know it wasn't fun. I know that must have hurt. I know it was painful, and I know it was tough to deal with, trying to, get out of Richie's entanglement with his legs over his shoulder, chokes, all these things Richie was throwing fire, but just couldn't finish, and I give credit to Joao for surviving. And I know Joao recently hit up Richie for a rematch, and I'm looking forward to that match again because I think, Richie's hard to deal with, that the style Joao has, he goes into people's guards, and you can't go into Richie's guard, you know what I mean? So Richie had that crazy match against him. They went all the way, I think, 10 minutes or 8 minutes, whatever it was, and they both were dead. They both were tired afterwards because Richie was trying to finish, and I know Joao wasn't trying to tap. So they both, and, Joao passed his guard a little bit, so, they both had a war. So the next match is me. I'm the third guy, and they picked their team captain, which was Ichi. And I never really seen much of him. I just knew he was an Olympic medalist, giant beast as well. When he came out, everyone from Japan was like he was the man. He was representing Japan that day. He was the guy that people over there came to watch. And I, in my head, I was like, I always think like this about it. I'm going to tap this fool out, and that's what Eddie says, like, tap him out, I'm going to tap this fool out because I roll with big guys all the time, and I never really got to showcase it, I never really got to showcase at a high level that I can roll with big dudes, and I always have in the gym. Anytime big guys come in, they know I'm going to roll with them hard. I got a lot of big boys that I train with. One of my best students is Kyle Chambers. He's huge,
Yeah.
But Kyle Bohm, all these dudes that I roll with are are big guys that move well too, and I never had a problem with big dudes. But once I went up, whatever, I handshake them, and the first thing I do, I pull guard, and I went into inverted. I went inverted and caught a Kimura right off the bat from my butterfly half guard. I got a Kimura, and it was the only time in my life that I grabbed the Kimura, and I felt like it was a waste of time. Like I felt like usually I could take the back, usually I could pull it out a little bit and get a better position. I could not move this brick house. It was like Palaharis versus Jones. Like you just couldn't move him. It just couldn't move him, and I couldn't move him. And I was at that point, my mentality changed. I was like, I'm just not gonna let this fool tap me out. It's gonna be tough. And then he just started putting pressure in my half guard, hard pressure, and just really, smashing. He got mad when I put him in that Kimura. Once I let go, you could tell all his rage. He knew he had 3 minutes to go, and he started going hard. Everything he had, and it was hard to deal with. I never felt anyone that big, that strong, and technical. And he was moving good, and I was like, shit, man, I'm in this, and I'm in this for real. Like, here's my time to prove to everyone that I'm Houdini. And class always started when like, today I'm gonna be Houdini, and I become Houdini. My mentality becomes Houdini, and I put myself in bad positions with everybody, and no one could tap me out. I play that game every 2 days at the gym. I'm like, all right, today's Houdini for me, and I'm just playing Houdini with everybody, and I'll let people get me in the worst positions, and I just Houdini out, and that's what I felt like. I told myself, all right, turn it on to Houdini mode, Geo Houdini mode, and I was just in my head, I was like, no matter where he gets me, I'm gonna find a way out. And then he ended up getting a Kimura, a nice Kimura. And I knew it was deep, and I was like, fuck, I messed up, and a lot of times when people give me a Kimura, I have a good armbar counter there, but I just couldn't get my leg around his shoulders. He had big-ass shoulders, and I couldn't get around it. And it threw me off a little bit. And once he got that arm behind my back, everybody knows that if you have a Kimura and you pull that, like, my whole thing was that if I keep my arm in front of my body, he'll never be able to finish me, and I'm okay right here. But once he got the arm behind my back, that's when it became dangerous. And at that point, I had to make a sacrifice that a lot of people don't know. The sacrifice you do when someone puts the arm behind your back is you give them the straight arm bar, and then you tuck your elbow back in. So when he had that arm behind my back, I gave him the arm bar, because if he would have stepped over my head, I probably would have tapped, honestly. Yeah. So I gave him the straight arm bar. He went for a straight arm bar, but he didn't catch it in time. But he caught it just enough to get a little pop on my elbow, a nice pop that I still feel today, which is the pop that got me from going to the match against AJ Agazam and Kasai. So once my arm popped, I brought my elbow in, and I seen that. And he looked at me, and I just looked at him like, I'm fine. And that threw his mind off. That pissed him off. And he was trying to go north-south, trying to go for Kimura, and he never got that deep again. Time ran out, and my job was done for that round. Ichi's out. And it felt like I got my job done, but I felt disappointed because I was like, man, if we lose as a team right now, that's going to be my performance, that I survived a crazy arm lock. Even though people loved it and were impressed by it, I didn't want that to be my highlight moment of the tournament. You know what I mean? Everybody loves highlights, and I didn't want that to be my highlight. And people were just going to say, oh, Jill did good, he survived. Hell no, I didn't want that. So when the next match happens, everyone saw Amir ended up getting knee-barred. It hurt me. When he got knee-barred, it hurt all of us. I should have done more, whatnot. We all thought to ourselves, what could have we done more? And then, Big Red ended up saving the day for us. He went out there and honestly took out 2 guys and saved the day. It was really him to save that match at that point. And Big Red came through strong. Adam from Templan San Mateo came hard that day and saved the team. Honestly, if it wasn't for him, and we put him at the end for a reason, because we knew he had that squeeze. We knew he had that game. And once he got around some of those guys, they couldn't deal with his squeeze, his power. He used a lot of energy though that round for sure. We knew he was a little bit tired afterwards, but we made it through. So that's how we eliminated Team Vagabond.
Now I want to make it clear at this part though, because I'm watching this at home at God knows what hours, but as it's happening, I'm looking at y'all going, oh, you have to do this again. And I'm seeing how taxing that has to be for each one of the members. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, they got to regroup and they're going to come out. of course, we all know the result is a great regroup, but what was said backstage that was able to rally you guys? Because there was a lot, I'm sure, that you guys felt you had to climb up a big mountain again.
Yeah, like we went to backstage and we were happy, but we're like, all right, we got to win this shit. We got one match away, or one team away, and we could become the Quintet 2 champions, and that was big for us. We really wanted that, and Eddie really wanted us to really win that too. He was obviously really hyped for us, fired up, and Eddie's really good at just getting our minds right. Eddie's really he knows us all individually. So he went up to me, he's like, "How's your arm?" I was like, "Shit hurts," and he's just like, "All right, don't think about it right now. Let's just go in there. Let's do what you do. It's your time. You're Geo. You're Freakazoid. Like, I want to see you do what you do. Like, I consider you the top dude. I want to see you do what you do. Don't even think about your arm. Don't even complain. Just go out there and do what you do. And pretty much, not those exact words, but that's what I got from the speech that Eddie gave me was like whatever your arm hurts, forget about it. You're Geo. I consider you the top dude. You got to go in there and prove it to everybody why you're that dude. And just kind of looked at me and gave me that look, and it was done. The doctors came in, and they're like, the itchy was complaining. He told them that he broke my arm because he heard it pop, So the doctors came, they checked my arm, and my arm was swollen. It was tight, but I was like, I just started moving and like punching in there. I was like, my arm's all right, dude. Like, they were kind of weird. They were kind of like trying to tell me that I might not be able to go, and I was like, no, my arm is good. And then they look at Amir because they went to go check Amir's leg, and Amir just starts like doing his wrestling stance, moving around like a wrestler. But he was weak on that leg. He was really weak on that. Like, I could fake it, and you could tell like whatever. But they were just concerned about him. And then Eddie just told him like, are you gonna quit or are you gonna go? And he's like, I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna do it. I'm not quitting. I'm gonna be in it. He didn't. And
I was severely worried because I'm looking over at what you've got Luis there, and I go, all right, Luis, you're in for the big guy spot. Go.
Yeah, they wouldn't allow him to go in though. They wouldn't do that. You can only replace them if they don't make weight in the first before they do the first team. You can't replace them after.
So the team that you had was just it. It would have been 4 people.
Right.
Wow.
Right. So so it came down to just heart, just who cares? Like, think about it afterwards kind of shit, and Richie was ready to go out there, and PJ was ready. We're all kind of stressing out, but whatever, we're ready to go out there. We're just like every other tournament, there's pressure, there's little injuries here and there, but you got to go in there and get the job done. So we go in there, first match, PJ goes up against, I forgot who it was, Sakimura, or no, I can't think of the name right now of the guy, but thick MMA fighter, tough dude, tough as nails, tough as they come. One of those Japanese MMA fighters that it's not going to tattoo anything kind of status. And they had a battle, but PJ put another clinic. So PJ looked awesome. Just couldn't finish, but if it was points, PJ would have had like 100 points probably,
Daisuke Nakamura.
Nakamura, yeah, Suke Nakamura. He's a MMA stud, sick dude, judo, jiu-jitsu dude, and just couldn't do shit against PJ. PJ just outclassed him. PJ just did American wrestling mixed with a template and jiu-jitsu and just gave him a clinic, and showed everybody that he was on a different level. But, he still me. So second match is obviously a match that I think everybody was excited to watch.
Yeah.
The legend, Sakuraba. Sakuraba, even though he's older, he hasn't been tapped out in such a long time. Even when he did the last Quintet, he went against Daniel Stroud or Gorilla. What's that guy's name? Gorilla from the UK. I can't think of his name right now. He had a big famous match against AJ Agazan, but Daniel Stroud, I think. But he went up against Sakuraba in the last Quintet and couldn't do much against him. So we're like, man, Sakura's gonna be, still dangerous and still hard to deal with. So we just told Richie, like, you can't go out there and take him lightly. And obviously Richie did it. And Richie went out there and Sakuraba, think about it, people don't really understand this Sakura's tournament. He has so much pride in within winning with his team and in his event at his hometown, pretty much Tokyo, where he's from, and he's coming hard, trying to give Richie some battles. Richie and Sakura almost ends up kind of passing Richie's guard and goes into judo side control. but Richie kind of let him get to judo cycle choke because we do that truck counter. Richie kicked that leg over and then almost twisted him. Almost had him in a twister.
The place was going nuts just online from when the twister was happening because I go, is he? And
he wanted the twister.
He did want the twister, and I go, nah, I think he might get out of this. But to go on your note here, I just want to make it very clear. Sakuraba, this is the whole thing, and he put himself second on the list. I made very clear in telling my friends, I was like, I'm going fifth, because if it comes down to me, it's already over. So I just figure, Sakuraba gets all the credit in the world because I would have just buried myself all the way back, but he's second position, and second position gives him, at this point, your brother, which is not an easy card to pull.
No, because Richie's, we consider him in that 10-planet lineup probably the most dangerous guy with submissions, so we knew that he was a finisher. Richie could get the finish, and, they had a good battle, a war, actually. Richie had a really, he had to work out of some bad positions, so I could try to throw a calf slicer. Richie's seen a calf slicer before, so he could defend him, but Richie told me, man, that was a strong calf slicer. I was surprised. It was really strong, and I think Saku kind of burned himself out in that, try to really pull that calf slicer out, and he kind of went for it, Hail Mary, and Richie had to really fight for it. And once Richie got his leg loose, he went into his bread and butter and just flipped that Darson there. And we all know once Richie gets that arm through there, grabs the neck and arm, it's going to be hard to get out. So at that point, either Saku taps or he goes to sleep in his own tournament. And I think he just decided to tap, you know what I mean? And which was the smartest thing to do, because it would have been kind of weird to see him go to sleep. So I'm happy he tapped. Richie got that win. Legendary win. Saku, a legend. Felt good. Me and Richie been watching him since we started. Obviously, everybody has, and it was an honor. More if anything, it was an honor. We have nothing but respect for him. And it was cool. It was cool, kind of passing down the torch to the new school jiu-jitsu in a way.
Mm.
That's what I felt. So next thing.
Here we go.
Obviously, we see the Giant again coming in.
The Giant's
we didn't
back.
know much about. We didn't know much about him. We just knew that he was tearing it up. He had good toe holds, good passing, standing passing, and Richie, his world is closed guard, and he doesn't play a lot of open guard. I play more open guard. We both just decided to go a different route. Obviously, when guys like Joao and guys like that says going to Richie's guard is hell for them, but Hassan had a good game plan. He knew that Richie was tired, so right off the bat he pushed the pace and ended up passing Richie's guard from standing. And Richie got, he made a mistake. He tried to push him away. He got frustrated, tried to push away, and he was just too strong. Huge, strong, technical guy that ended up capitalizing on Richie's mistake and took the arm. Armbarred Richie, and I know Richie wasn't happy, and I know Richie wasn't going to tap unless his arm hurt. So I knew it was deep armbar. And I knew afterwards his arm was a little, cranked out as well. He had a really tight arm, and I knew he was disappointed. But Richie got his job done. Richie did what he had to do. He had to eliminate one of the guys, and the second guy, if you would eliminate him, that would have been even better. But obviously he had to go up against a monster, someone that was ready for him, and someone that hit the right move at the right time, and just ended up capitalizing on Richie's fatigue as well. Richie had 2 long matches. People got to remember that. He had 2 long matches against Joao, and then Joao was the best guy in the tournament. Plus, he had a match against Saku, which Saku's one of the toughest dudes in the tournament for sure. And then he had to go against Hassan, which was also, considered the kind of the guy that we didn't know much about, but he was tearing it up more than anybody. So it was a big win for him as well, because Richie's, not easy to tap. So I had, part of me was little brother mode too, it pissed me off kind of, it got me mad that Richie tapped. I didn't like it, it hurt me.
Not a great person to piss off for you jiu-jitsakas out there, Geo. I'm just saying, because as you're getting pissed, do you see something in your brother's match that's his neck is exposed?
It wasn't his neck. I just knew my open guard, my spiral, the reverse De La Hiva, I knew I could get it underneath him, because the way he was passing really high standing up, but he's really tall, and I could get really little. I could go underneath even little guys. So in my head, I was like, it's gonna be easy for me to go around his back. You know what I mean?
Fascinating.
But what is he give me? You know, I was trying to think about his back. So I like going reverse de la Hiva. I go spiral. I go inverted spiral, and I usually go around the back. And if I can't take the back, I'll go into like a back X guard. You know, so I had like the X guard from the back, and he tried to go for a toe hold, but no one ever gives me a toe hold there. He tried to go for a toe hold, and I just kind of pushed him off, and I kept the X guard leg over my shoulder, and I tried to do a technical stance to come up to that X guard sweep that everyone does. You don't come up with a single leg. And as I tried to come up, he really sprawled his leg out. And as he sprawled his leg out, he dropped below my chest, and that was what I was looking for because I love guillotines. And I knew if I grabbed his neck and his arm or head and arm, I knew it was going to be good night because that's my bread and butter. I've really been working on a lot this year, you know, and I just been catching necks and catching arms, and especially when you got long neck like that. And like I said, I have long training partners, big training partners like Kyle Chambers and guys like that. And anytime I get those guys is really because I grab their neck, you know. So I caught his neck, and at that point I was so deep, and he was strong, but not in the way that it would help him defend that guillotine. So I tried to roll him over, but he sprawled out as well. And as he sprawled out, I just kind of took advantage of the head and arm guillotine. As I went for the head and arm guillotine, he kind of defended it a little bit, so I switched my grips. Oh, before I switched my grips, I put in my butterfly, and I used the butterfly to elevate him with the head and arm control, and I rolled him over. And as I rolled on top, I switched my grip into the Marcellitine. I let go of the arm, and I just went to a Marcellitine from the mouth. And at that point, it's night-night, you know, for a lot of people. Even though I choked him out with the same arm that was hurting, you know, I put a lot of stress on my arm. Part of me was like, shit, I wish I would have grabbed him with my other arm because when I was squeezing, like, if he doesn't tap, I'm going to regret it. You know what I mean?
Part of me wishes I had used the other arm. No, that is not a thought I am familiar with. But I respect that you even had that ability. From an outsider perspective, super exciting moment for grappling, because part of the argument is that grappling can work for anyone against anyone. Well, that's difficult to execute on a high level when you're dealing with someone that grapples a lot. You just came in and looked like you were like, no, I'm submitting this giant mofo. And to bring this conversation...
In my head, I made up that for sure.
Oh, okay.
In my head, I was like, I'm going to choke this fool out. Like, I'm going to win. Like, I was in battle mode. I felt like a breakdancing battle. Like, I'm going to smoke this dude right now. Like, I just want to prove to everyone that I'm going to smoke this. This is going to be my highlight. You know, I always tell everybody, like, every jiu-jitsu guy, like, and, you know, even every artist, I guess, we all strive for a highlight moment in our lives. And after you get a highlight moment, you get addicted to it, and you strive for the next one. It's like a drug, you know what I mean? Like, we're addicted to the highlight moment. And I had a few of those in my jiu-jitsu careers. I had, you know, Jeff Glover, Eddie Cummings, a couple of these guys that I felt really good, really strong with. And I had those moments I can look back and be like, that was a good moment, you know, a glory moment, a baby glory. And this was one of those moments that I knew that people were going to appreciate it, not just because of the technique behind it, but obviously the David versus Goliath thing. You know, people love seeing that, and I love doing that. I love proving people wrong that, oh, this big guy's gonna crush you. I'm like, nah, not really. I don't think it's gonna happen. You know,
I think there was something that was weird about this phenomenon, which was we acknowledged that he was on a tear because he made a lot of that event exciting, and
right.
It's funny because we even had people online who were giving us pushback and being like, Geo was way more exciting. And I was like, I don't know, man. To me, you have to respect the fact that he made a statement for himself that day, and you don't want to overlook that. But part of the thing that makes the crescendo of you getting that guillotine even more amazing is that it's a story of you rising to a challenge and putting on for your team as well. So, like, everybody wins here. It's just a matter that sometimes I feel like it does show you the real aspect of how much people want to have that team setting in a sport that's usually individualized. So I think the fact that you guys had everybody contribute in a significant, major way at this epic tournament made it all the sweeter. And I mean, what was the feeling like, though, when it all comes together? Because, you know, you get the opportunity for Amir, who I'm thinking to myself, like, how is his leg even at all functioning? And yet he gets his hero moment after you.
Right. And like, it worked out perfectly. Like, obviously, like at that point, Amir told me, like, I thought you were just gonna run through everybody, and in my head, I was gonna run through everybody too. Right off the bat, I ended up, getting a guillotine, against Toroko. What's his name? I can't think of his name right now. But the other guy that's like a really good, the guy that was my weight division.
Yeah.
In my head, I was like, I'm gonna kill this guy. I should have killed him, but I had him in a guillotine. I ended up mounting him, and I had the same arm guillotine that I did earlier. So it kind of threw me off. Like, my arm was done at that point, And then I started feeling a little tired, and I started feeling all these things, and I was like, this guy's not really. I took his back, and I really fought hard for it. And then the rest were calling like stalling things, and it was just all these things that time ran out. I was like, fuck, man, I just didn't finish him. But even though I was all over this cat, I didn't finish him, and I wish I would have. Part of me just wanted to do it. I wanted to just close it out and just win the match after that as well. I would have tapped out the other guy probably. I don't know. But that was my mentality. But it didn't happen like that. I ended up tying, and we ended up pulling a draw, a good match. And it was Amir's time. In my head, I was like, man, like, Amir's hurt. Like, but Amir just had this, like, he had, like, this, like, little, like, his eyes were shining, you know what I mean? Like, he had a little shine in his eye. And I just kind of, like, once I saw that little shine in the eye, like, I don't know, just a feeling like I just knew he was just going to get the job done. And once he went out there, he just looked good. He grabbed that Kimura. I didn't even think about his legs. He took the back. He even body triangled him and was making faces.
I know.
Because his shit was hurting. And he just went for it, and it was big for him because Amir's a beast. Amir's been in the game for a 10-planet system for a while, and he's been representing us for a while and really been helping a lot of us get better. And he's one of our big guys that moves really good, and he's high level, and it was good for him to go out there and really show everybody that he could get the job done and get that big victory for the 10-planet squad. And after that happened, then obviously it was a big weight off and back, and 10-planet came to Japan, and we represented it. Now forever, we're in history. Like, that's going to be in Quintet history, Jiu-Jitsu history, and no one can ever take that away. And I believe that Quintet's only going to grow from here on out. And we're one of the pioneers that, we're a part of the first two, or the second one at least,
Well, the first one was a fluke because Craig Jones, like, it's not a real thing.
Yeah.
But obviously.
Well, always tell everybody, like, they're not even a real team. Polaris is good, but they weren't even a real team. We're a real team. We're 10-planet squad. We're actually a real team. They just picked a super team, pretty much, which
we
is
joke.
Whatever. It's not the same winning your event with like a bunch of randoms. It's better when you win it with your family. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And to his credit, I don't want to put him too much on Front Street, but Craig Jones apparently that day I think got married or put up a photo of himself out that way. And he messaged me, and he's like, "Dude, I need results. How's this happening? How's Quintet going?" And I think it was right about the time that you guys had just started walking back, and I go, 10th planet advanced. I'm worried.
Right.
And he's like, "Yeah." And I go, "Yeah, dude, it's an intense fucking show." And in the time I talked to him, he then saw you guys getting your due. And then when Hasim was crushing it, I go, "Oh, dude, he's new you." And he just starts laughing. He's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Oh, he's just the new hype everybody's getting behind. You're old you now. Yeah. Nobody cares about you anymore." Because you basically proved... Exactly. And he's laughing at me because he's just like, he goes, "Oh, fuck, dude, I'm so overrated. Fuck me." And I'm like, this is really funny. I like the fact that Craig found a way to find... I think he ended up getting a stream and was watching it. And it was just like... I stopped giving him results, but he hit me back up and was just like, "Dude, I'm so hyped for this. This is so much fun." He had a great time watching you guys.
Positive energy.
Yeah,
I would love to compete against the Polaris team one day. Hopefully for the Vegas one coming up, in October.
Yeah, I'm hearing all of these things. Okay, maybe that's a good time to transition because there's another thing that's happening. It's not quite Quintet, but you have a team element. Can you tell us a little bit about Subversive? Because it looks like you were the one to get to make the announcement today, right?
Yeah, so like Seth from Fight to Win is throwing the event, and the event's pretty much a team format, but it's a little different. It's not like elimination, you stay in. It's more like everybody every team picks like different competitors for different weight classes. There's I think 5 weight classes plus or 4 weight classes, possibly 4 or 5 weight classes plus the girl weight class, and pretty much whoever has the most wins as a team advances to the next round and competes against another team. So it's really more like super fights with your teammates, and then overall team points. That's how you win. So it's very interesting team format, something new, but obviously it's good for everybody. You know, guys like these, like Seth, they're paying their competitors to go out there and compete. So for us, it's not really about the money, but that's always good bonus on top. The main thing is just to keep showcasing that our team is a strong team, and 10 Planet Squad is the real deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's amazing, dude. I'm really happy to hear about that. And I know they usually put one of these giant shows on I think it's every year. So I think it's cool that we get it over here in Anaheim. I was stoked to hear that, you know, do we know what the full team is? Because I know it was you, your brother, and PJ.
Right. And they're going to have a trials. We're going to actually do trials with a couple guys because we have a lot of big guys that want to get in it. So we have a couple trials coming up for that. So after the trials, we'll be able to officially have our team set.
Fair enough. I just know that every time I hear y'all have trials, I'm like...
We have Liz Carmouche as well, representing the girls.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a good team. In fact, because that was my one... when people ask, they go, you know, how is that going to go? Are they going to do the Survivor Series elements where somebody stays in the whole time? And I was like, you know what? I think Carmouche might do okay if they did allow them to stay in. So I'm not super worried. I've heard nothing but stellar things, dude. You know, I wanted to ask this too because you got the opportunity at Quintet to do this behind the scenes stuff where you're doing this whole. There was like a birthday cake with Eddie giving it to Sakuraba for his birthday, but to me, it's one of those iconic photo shoots. And though we got to see the video of it, like it looked like every element of it had to be surreal as a grappling MMA fan of the history of what it is that we see, to see Eddie and Sakuraba there. And then even when I see Sakuraba putting you in an abdominal stretch, I'm like, what is this? This is like exactly the kind of thing that I think people think would happen, but it still looked amazing. Can you tell us about that photo shoot?
Yeah, it was just random. Like, it was Sakuraba's birthday. We're all up there doing this Quintet photo shoot, and it was Sakuraba's birthday. He came to the place where we're doing the photo shoot, and they had a birthday cake, or they had a surprise birthday cake for Saku that they made Eddie just present to Sakuraba. You know, so Eddie just presented the cake to Sakuraba, like the Quintet team gave the cake to Eddie to give to Saku, and then once Eddie gave the cake to Saku was like, from there they just both started doing weird stuff. I don't know, they just started like talking about like random stuff. Their translator would just kind of translate for each other, and then Saku was like, he told Eddie, "Can I show you the Japanese twister?" And then he put me in the twister. I didn't even realize. He's like, "Who wants to do it?" And I said, "I'll do it." And then he just hit me in the back of my head. I was like, "Okay." So I know what's going on at that point, but he put me in a twister, and I was gonna tap, but I didn't want to tap in front of everybody, you know. He tried to break my neck, my spine, and so we're just having fun, you know. He was just clowning, we were just having fun, and then Saku just grabbed. We blew the candles out for him, or he blew his candles out, and then told Eddie, and then someone was like, "You should take pictures of you giving him the cake." So he's like handing him the cake, and then Saku was like, pretty much like put him like slammed the cake in my face, and Eddie's like, no. Eddie starts tripping on, and they start playing a little bit. Eddie starts doing poses, and they were just goofy. It was all natural, like they were carrying each other, doing stuff, and then Eddie grabbed the cake and then put it in Saku's face, and then Saku was just like super cool about it, and like epic moment of two super cool, fun dudes just letting loose, not taking themselves too serious, even though everyone, you know, knows that Eddie and Saku are MMA, jiu-jitsu legends. They don't really take themselves that serious. They were just having fun and just showing love to each other and just kind of appreciating the time and moment they have with each other. And I think they both really are fans of each other. And, you know, it was kind of cool seeing that.
It just made me laugh so much because those are two of the most expressive photo subjects you can probably find on the circuit. And then when I go, oh no, they're combining powers, I don't know that I would even be able to take photos of this because it's too good. Like, you're almost laughing from just their personalities. And even though there's a little bit of a language barrier, obviously, it's still to that point where you go, nah, this is funny. This is something I think you can't really replace.
They're speaking universal language of comedy and body language, jiu-jitsu language, you know? So it's kind of cool.
I mean, I also appreciated the fact that Sakuraba was the one to give you the medals. So it felt like you guys got your own like mini Star Wars end of movie celebration as they're handing out medals.
I feel like that.
And then they just kind of like confetti everywhere. Everybody surrounds, big photo, and then it's just kind of like, oh, Sakuraba has to give it to you too? Jesus, what isn't this man doing? Is he doing catering too backstage?
I even saw him cleaning afterwards. No, I'm just playing.
Nah, Saku's the ish. You know, the nice part about this is you've been so generous with your time. I do want to ask just a couple quick little things before I let you go here, Geo. I guess the first of which is, I know that Subversive is coming up, but do you have anything else that you can tell us? Because I know you're probably still feeling a little bit of the elbow, and hopefully it's going to heal in time so that we see you crush it over at Subversive. But do you have any other things that are coming down the pipeline? I guess, Lord willing, if we get an AJ match at some point too.
Yeah, Kasai already told me they wanted the match versus me and AJ, so hopefully everything goes smooth and we set that matchup. So that'll be coming up possibly in the next Kasai if everything works out. Like you said, the new tournament coming up, the set's throwing, I'll be there for sure competing with my squad. And, you know, a week before that, there's a high rollers tournament, and you guys know I'm 420 friendly, and I support I like the connection with 420 and jiu-jitsu. To me, it just kind of, it makes sense, you know, the whole culture already does it. Like, it's like surfers, jiu-jitsu, like that kind of vibe, you know. Amen. That's what I'm about. So they asked me to be a part of the tournament, and I think if they smooth everything out, and I might have a super match against a MMA fighter, not sure UFC or Bellator fighter, but should be pretty cool to see like a submission only competitor versus a MMA fighter to see how that works out. But I'm just gonna tell you now, probably not talk about.
Now, Geo, I'm very concerned here. You know they force all of their people to get high before they roll. I mean, are you equipped for that?
I smoke every day before I train. I smoke before I compete. I'm high right now, bro. Like, you know, like it's part of my like routine. So to me, it's like it's only gonna make me want to roll harder. You know, like everybody in my school rolls like that. It just, come on, Eddie Bravo's my master. You know, like,
I mean, honestly,
Raph, finally I have something in common with a high level competitor. It's been my jiu-jitsu, my training, nothing else but this. Whew, feels good.
Kevin didn't believe me when I told him. I was like, "There's a tournament where you have to get high, and it's not optional. You have to."
It's like,
and he's just.
I'll probably end up taking dabs. I'll probably be like, "I don't even want to smoke flowers. Just give me some dabs."
And I told him this, and he was just like, "Yeah." And I go, "Yeah, dude." I go, "It's insane." And then, you know, obviously it comes out, and you see the photos and the videos of it. You see Glover.
It's awesome.
Dude, it looked like a blast. Look, I already had a really good time. It's just funny to me that even when you were telling me the story about Quintet, when you guys all go backstage, and you're just kind of like, yeah, you know, Eddie comes to give a great speech. I was like, what you mean to say is he brought you your special plant. And you were just like, you know, power back up. I told him, I was like, y'all are like Super Mario Brothers. They just need to find the box with the plant real quick, and then y'all will be around too. So there is that. Geo, I know we've been abusing your time worse than AJ Algazarm trying to abuse the thesaurus, but I want to say this. You have always been so kind to us here at Verbal Tap. Anytime I'm out covering, you're always really welcoming. You're always supporting us, you know, and supporting our photos and all of our different products that we do and things. So it only made sense to bring you on the show. We just wanted to say thank you very much for coming on. I mean, it's really cool that you got to bookmark the story that was Quintet, because I really do feel like you guys put together a good argument that makes this feel like more fun as we all try and pioneer something to be more entertaining for the big spectacle of audiences. And I really feel like that's a special event and that you guys really put on for that. So, just thank you so much for coming on, dude. Can we take care of any of your sponsors, any of your team that you want to give a shout out to, sir?
Of course, always giving love to all 10 Planet Freaks, 10WO. Got to give a shout out to my main sponsors, Phalanx. I'm all about the Phalanx Army. Best gear in the game, so go check them out. Talk to Sarah, a lot of dope gear right there. You guys got to, always give love to the people that help you out, so I got to give love to them, but also appreciate everyone that, is always supporting me, always wants to see my matches, and people out there that give us love. It's not easy to like the 10 Planet Freaks, but I am thankful for everyone that does like us and people that give us love. And you guys, Verbal Tap, you guys always showed us love, so I really appreciate you guys, and it's an honor to be the 300 podcast. I appreciate you guys choosing me as the guy to use the podcast too. But other than that, I'm looking forward to these next coming tournaments, and I hope to see you guys there. Come and support. If you guys want to see some sick jiu-jitsu, I'll be out there grinding and keep proving my name and keep showing everyone that I'm going to be entertaining and I'll be fun to watch, and I'm going to go out there and go for the kill. That's all I know how to do. I just know how to finish. Thank you guys for everything. Freaks don't sleep.
Verbal Tap fans, the always exciting Geo Martinez. We made it to the end of the show, Raph, and it's worth noting we submitted and won the same amount of matches that AJ did in the time we were doing this podcast. We hit the same amount of finishes in his Kasai career. So that's good for us or bad for him. We'll let the audience, we'll let the Beat family be the judge.
Let's be very clear to people who are listening to this. We've had AJ on this show.
Love
AJ
him.
routinely comes up to us and says hello. So it's very possible he could listen to this and be giggling as he's inscribing whatever shit he's going to talk to us next. You know what? It's fine. We're all grown adults. I'm just saying, AJ, as somebody who's watched far more pro wrestling and understands its mechanisms way better than you do, go for it. Do all of your heart's content. I can't wait to see the poem.
And I would just like to see it publicly deny that we have the same record at Kasai.
No, you don't get. He did get one heel hook at Kasai, but just not this one. That was the last Kasai.
Oh, was it? I get Kasai and Polaris.
I don't.
Now I gotta look. I thought he won a Polaris match, so I'll go back.
He's got the one. Yeah, he got the armbar. I think against some dude, some Asian guy, and then I think he got a heel hook maybe at the last Kasai. I think he has to win one a year in order to kind of keep some sort of weird ability to renew his shit talking. But definitely, yeah, loses a match and goes, who else? Who's next?
He lost that one, and it was like, I dominated him. Let's see you try dealing with 20 pounds. It's like, that doesn't quite sound like you dominated. Like, it's like, I perform great sexually. Let's see you make them have an orgasm. It's like, wait, what? I didn't.
Are you telling me to do your girlfriend?
I picked up the first half, but the second half led me down a different path, is essentially.
It's always a journey where you watch somebody as they're real timing it. But when he said, and I dominated him, there's a character, Kevin, on the pro wrestling. Believe you me, his name is Velveteen Dream. Okay?
Hot.
So Velveteen Dream,
like the Velveteen Rabbit?
Kind of, but he plays a very larger than life personality in terms of being really egotistical and being very into fashion and shit like that. And so they do this prepackage showing Velveteen Dream losing to somebody, and the video shows him losing. And the talking head cuts to him and goes, the Dream has no recollection of that. And I said, that's the best fucking cutback I've ever seen. So when AJ said, and I dominated him, I laughed at the exact same manner in which I laughed at Velveteen Dream. So I didn't hate on that. That was funny. Anyway, Kev, you know what's not funny?
I mean, no, go ahead. I don't want to.
This is the time when we get really serious with you guys.
I was like, homelessness? I mean, poverty? There's a lot, I guess, but go on.
No, I mean, you know what's not funny is our unbreakable love for our listeners, Kevin, because without you guys, we wouldn't have 300 episodes. So we need to get to the shout-outs. Before we do, we don't want to make a whole
That's why
long
I should
drawn-out
not
thing.
have responded.
Yeah.
That was way more positive than what came firing out. I was like, underfunding for public education.
Well, don't get it twisted, because we've definitely addressed issues on here that have provoked people. Where a couple weeks ago we go, yo, maybe Khabib could be nicer to homeless people. No, because Khabib's coming from a different culture, and well, he's still kind of being a dick to homeless. No, he's giving him a job. All right, whatever you say, guys. It's a weird climate. In a climate where people, if you disagree with them politically, they decide to attack you personally. That's just what happens. But we've always held true to what it is we do on our show, and we do things a little different. And we thank you guys for being a part of it. Now, Kevin, one of the things that we should do is give shout-outs to the people. But did you think we would make 300 episodes?
I must tell you, of the things that have hit 300, I can't confirm or deny that I thought we would hit this. We had always said we would start with sort of like a timeline marker in order. And the changes certainly simplify how old I feel in terms of both grappling, this podcast, and life. But 300 feels like a nice homage to the perseverance we had set out. You and I were like, we can do a weekly show. We can crush 45 to 90. There's going to be some things back and forth. You've expanded it quite a bit into the social media realm and live interview and live event coverage. We've had a lot of fun with the snippets in terms of comedic takes on life, but in terms of guaranteeing we would have published 300 episodes, I don't know. That's a lot. That's a lot of content.
To make it very clear to you guys, if you go back and look at all of our episodes, in the very first episode, it's about a month in between a certain amount of episodes. Like Kevin and I said, yeah, let's do episode 2, and it's almost 3 to 4 weeks later. Fast forward to now, it's like, how many episodes are coming out this goddamn week?
Did we do
3?
2?
Did we do 2?
Did we break one up? I don't remember.
Oh, no, we put out 1, and then I did like 2 interviews with people on video.
There it is. Well, when we started the podcast, MMA wasn't on ESPN ever. And they didn't have a UFC event every 7 seconds. They weren't so desperate for fighters. They were like, what's Greg Hardy's retired felony ass up to? Put him in the cage. It's Tuesday night, and Dana needs a winner. There was none of that. So there's a lot that has changed about the sport, grappling, and Raph, remember not being able to find jiu-jitsu gyms? Remember like having to use, and I always give Andrew a lot of credit, right? BJJ Finder was ahead of its time, but sadly Google was like, oh, we'll just put every business ever. And that's where you see, like, now if you look at any city and you Google jiu-jitsu gym, you will find 8. There was a long time where you would find 0.
Not only that, but now I could just put up as a Facebook status and go, looking for recommendations, you guys. A good gym, clean, 4 stars at least, should be able to shower there and would appreciate a hot towel.
9 of your friends are like, oh, you got to check out this one. I've been to theirs. I know exactly which gym to talk about.
The other thing that's really weird in, I guess, 6 years' time, a lot of people, and I don't know if this is dumb on our part or genius on our part, but a lot of people start their podcast when they're at least a purple belt or beyond. We said, you know what? How about you stick right with us from the very beginning? So you have come along for our journey from white belt on. And we have had some amazing perspectives from white belt on. And I'll tell you this, Kev. The funniest part that I always think back on as we're looking back at 300 episodes is that you sit there and you go, you know, I thought I would have sounded dumber. Okay. Wasn't the worst white belt. Good for me. All right. Good job, everybody. So it's nice to see the evolution of this. And we still get people who come up to us and, you know, say very nice things about our show. And a lot of times they see me at events and they just go, hey, tell Kevin this. And I go, I'm not a goddamn messenger. You message him, you tell him, or you just tweet at us and I'll show it to him later or he'll see it or whatever. But somebody was asking me the other day, they said, oh man, you've been doing commentary and play-by-play now. How's that been? And I go, could not have told you I was going to be doing that. Originally, we were just doing this and talking to each other, and now so many of you guys recognize me to the point where you're bored with me. So it's just kind of like, oh, dope. We bored them into submission, Kev. Go us.
Hey, that's exactly the strategy.
It's paying off 6 years later.
Get distracted, see what happens. Boom! You're in full guard.
Exactly.
And that's the cool part of this. It's led to some interesting relationships. It's led to a lot of fun grappling relationships. It's taken us some different places. And Raph, for a lot of reasons, you've become the grappling Tonight Show host. There's no one else that's interviewing people like that. Certainly not on a consistent basis, and not in the grappling world. And there's no one doing it that well in the MMA world. Shout outs to Karen Bryant, Joe Rogan, and a little bit of the Daniel Cormier. He's working on it. He's actually, I think, getting better than most. But a lot of friends made along the way, which brings us to what was going on at Kasai, where we've interviewed so many people. We have spoke to Josh Palmer many times, who was calling the event and should be interviewing the event at Kasai. There's a good amount of things that have changed jiu-jitsu, grappling, MMA-wise. What I hope has not changed is you and I are still cracking jokes about it. So 300, cheers to you, sir.
And cheers right back to you. It is fun to still do a show in the biz, one might say, kids. Because in entertainment, you can hate somebody and do a show with them. And the idea is you don't actually converse about anything other than a show. Most of the time when Kevin and I message each other, there's about now 30 to 40% that show. Another one is, what kind of world do we fucking live in politically today? All right. I'd say about 10% is you suck at fantasy football.
Well, that's coming up. Like, that'll peak. It's at 0. Well, it's always at 2%. There's never a time it's not in the conversation. It's about to peak at 20. My injuries take up a consistent
Not only
15%.
your injuries, like just both of us discussing ways to combat being injured and trying to figure out how we can piece ourselves together for a longer period of time than our bodies or science will let us.
Both big believers in science.
Yeah.
The science that's proven.
Right.
Nutrition.com. Put in Kevin 10. Nice. Well, let's give some shout outs.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's head that direction. I'll start, and this goes out to my OG professor, Andrew Correa, who was a big fan of the podcast. Helped us get started, really helped us in those early years in terms of he knew everyone when no one knew anyone, jiu-jitsu-wise. Some connections. The Jiu-Jitsu World Expo still our sort of launching ground in terms of meeting people and where we started this. Oh, we should be interviewing people on Camera Game because we're the only ones that do that terribly well. Yeah, I said it. There's a lot of arrogance behind what we do. He was also my first jiu-jitsu instructor. You don't get into this without a love for what we're talking about. And that love comes when you see people exhibit it, show you some stuff. Which, by the way, quick side note back to the shots at Eddie Bravo this weekend when they were like, you tell your guru and your spiritual doctor. It's like, okay. I thought that was funny because obviously AJ understands. It's like, shut up. I mean, look, Eddie Bravo, I've never rolled with him. But I presume he's very good at jiu-jitsu. I've never rolled with Hoyce Gracie. He looks good at jiu-jitsu. I've never rolled with Hoyler. And he looks good at jiu-jitsu. So it was just a funny, come on. This is the one sport where people earn what they get and earn who they create, which is rare and difficult. So props out to the first half of that from me. Props to Andrew Correa out there, Jiu-Jitsu Now when we started doing some under Mesh Wilson. Transitioned out here to Denver, Colorado, where I have had a come and go relationship with one of my favorite places in the world, Jubera Jiu-Jitsu. Massive shout outs to them. Huge supporters of the podcast. Big fans. Really enjoyed my last retreat from injury. Got a... Wait, which podcast you? It was like Verbal Tap. They were like, oh, awesome. Love that one. I was like, thank you. Like, I didn't know that was you when they were talking about the podcast. So it feels good. People involved in the world, really supportive place and great place to find some random training partners from all over the place that are just high level. Raph, there's been a lot of people that we've reached out to and helped, and vice versa during the conversations of how to expand, where to go. So massive shout outs to your nemesis, Paul Moran of Open Mat Radio. Big supporter of us originally, and someone that's always been a fan of what we do in that realm, because the Open Mat series, Around the Mat, still wins all of those awards. That will do it for me, Raph Esparza, except a final shout out obviously to the family and personal ones that allow you and I to get on this ride once a week. It's always fun.
Ain't that the truth? Everybody being like, when do you podcast? I don't know.
Me either. when Raph says we're going to, we can figure out a time.
The new thing that Kevin and I do is probably just betting on when we're going to be doing the podcast. When it's just not me and him, take that for what you will. So it's a fun social experiment, this thing. Time. You glorious bitch, you. Let's start with this. Big shout out to LA Jiu-Jitsu Club. Always great stuff with those guys. The training there has always been very helpful. I guess on a larger scale, I know it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It's 8 a.m., Tuesday, Thursday, 11:30. But representative of 300, they've been very supportive of us. We've collaborated together on more than just tournaments or hardcore training, but also some really, really cool interviews that I've gotten to do from the house. So they've been a big part of Verbal Tap, especially in the past 2 years. Also, big shout out to Valley Martial Arts Center.
VMAC.
Started my main gym. I went to other gyms before there where I was kind of testing them out. And as Kevin mentioned earlier in the show, I started at 10th Planet, but I knew I wanted the gi. I didn't know there were cool places like 10th Planet Van Nuys that do both. Or 10th Planet downtown Vegas that do both. But I'm very happy with the fact that I've selected Valley Martial Arts Center. 6 years going there. It's fun. They know if I'm not training with them, I'm usually out interviewing somebody or training with some athlete. I now routinely get asked, did you go get some training with one of the guys you interviewed? They beat you up a lot? And the answer is usually yes. So want to shout them out. Thank you guys for always being very, very supportive. Here's the thing. There's so many of you. I'm not going to name you all. I'm just going to pick a couple, and we'll go from there. Big shout out to John Evans, 5-timer on the show and more. He's always been a huge supporter. He's always sending us great notes. He's now to the point where he's sending me crazy videos from Vice just to be like, you see this yet? So that's hilarious. Big shout outs to a lot of our supporters. I know Kevin mentioned Paul Moran. I also want to shout out, Marshall Carper, Bubba McDaniel, our very first guest, who still occasionally I have found, Kev, I didn't know this. Do you know he's a brown belt now?
Bubba the Menace?
Yep. He is a brown belt in the jiu-jitsu in Dutch gi, no less.
Terrifying.
So, yeah, I know. We don't need that in our lives. But those individuals who very first came on our show and just kind of believed in the core concept of, hey, we're going to make fun of you. Just roll with it. And, of course, being very, very supportive. Just everybody who listens. I can't tell you how many fun stories are when people recite jokes or interviews or things that we have done that are unique to our show. There's a lot of different podcasts, but you listen to us, and that's really, really appreciative to us. Whether it's making your commute a little bit easier or harder, I'm not really sure. You might get mad at some of the things that Gary says. Whether it's reviewing some of the UFCs or grappling events and trying to work out our therapy of that was a terrible event like we did today with Kasai, and we were not going to let that drag us down. One bad event was not going to drag down 300. But whether it's even interacting with you guys via memes or social media, it's so much fun, and our ground rule continues to be the same. As long as it is fun, we are going to keep continuing to make content for you guys. And we hope that you come at it with the same passion that you do. It always makes us laugh whenever you guys tell us fun things. Come up, train with us. I'm going out to Vegas this weekend. I will be at Masters Worlds in some capacity. So I must say, though, Kevin, I will have a championship belt on my shoulders again because somebody, don't want to spoil it, beat somebody with a 59-0 record.
Can't wait. Just can't
So
wait.
we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Hey, that'll do it. Oh, I'm sorry. Where's you took
No,
a
that's it.
breath. Hey, that'll do it for us tonight here at Verbal Tap. I'm Kevin. Thank you for listening.
Good night and good fight. What would you have done if I said I wasn't done?
I might have cut it out. I might have just been like, nah, I can't shut him off 300. It's like, we're crushing this. We've really learned each other's patterns.
And another thing, you
No.
sons of bitches.
Never mind. Times 300.
The number you have dialed has been changed. The new number is... Please note, the new number is